You're watching 38IZ Videos. This is Val Tapia. Coming up, our musical guest today is, his name is John Corabi, and he's probably known to some of the viewers out there as a one-time vocalist for a band called Motley Crue. And he's been in bands called The Scream. He's been with a band called Union, and we're going to go a little bit into that band a little bit later. But right now, he's fronting a band called the Dead Daisies. And without further ado, Dead Daisies frontman is here now, Mr. John Corabi. John, how are you doing today?
I'm all right, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Real quickly, let's go ahead and get started. The new album, it's called Burn It Down, and it just released a couple months ago. What would you say, how would you say that the new album evolves from the previous one, which I believe was called Make Some Noise?
You know, it's weird. We don't really plan on anything when we go into the studio. We just I know this sounds cliched, but we kind of let the music take us where it wants to go. Mm-hmm. We went into the studio, we started writing. We were actually in New York at Alicia Keys's personal studio.
Is that so?
Yeah, and we recorded a couple of songs, we demoed them anyway, and the engineer gave us this pedal for Marco's bass.
Wow. And
he was like, oh, this is going to change your life. And so we plugged it in, and it was funny. Marco started playing. It was very kind of a old school distorted sound like Grand Funk Railroad or Black Sabbath. And Marco started using the pedal, and it was funny. He started playing this riff, and we were like, what is that? So it wound up being what eventually became What Goes Around Comes Around on our record. Mm-hmm. And then Doug, our guitar player, said, well, I didn't realize that this was how heavy we were going to be. I've got this other riff. And he brought in the riff that eventually became Rise Up. Mm-hmm. So those two songs kind of dictated the rest of the record. You know what I mean? We didn't really plan on anything, and we never do.
Right.
So it's basically, like I said earlier, we just kind of let things go where it's supposed to go, and let it do what it wants to do.
Right. You mentioned the song Rise Up. That was the radio single that you guys released recently. For all intents and purposes, that's pretty much a protest song. Is that fair to say?
Ish.
Yeah.
I'm not really taking, I'm not pointing a finger at, honestly, I hate talking politics, but
right.
I'm not talking against conservatives or liberals.
Right.
My biggest thing, and the thing that bugs me, is that all of these people that are on Facebook and Instagram now, you can't post anything without somebody giving you grief for it.
Right.
And my thing is, and this may sound weird, but I don't really believe that any politicians to me are like lawyers. They're all crooked. They're all whatever. So I'm just saying, you know what? Let's stop arguing with each other and giving each other grief, and hold all these guys accountable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's all. I've gotten some grief from some fans about thinking that I was being a liberal or I'm being a conservative,
right.
And I'm not. I'm just trying to say, like, we voted them in, we can vote them out. Like,
right.
We need to hold them accountable. And I think if you looked at any hardcore conservative, any hardcore liberal, and asked them what they want out of life, they all want the same thing. They want to be able to buy a house,
right.
Take care of their families, afford health care, right. and pay taxes, but as low as possible. You know what I mean? So that's all. I'm just saying, you know what? Let's
right.
all rise up, stop arguing with each other, and hold everybody on both sides, both parties, hold them accountable for
right.
their actions.
Right, and I think that's important because, and everybody has a point of view. I don't buy into the notion that musicians shouldn't state their point of view. No, you earned your platform. You can say what you need to say. It's with substance. It gets to the point, and you say what you need to.
Well, and it's funny, but everything you do is for maximum impact, and this is why I'm not totally. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of angry or pissed off at the NFL players for taking a knee or doing whatever. Mm-hmm. But they're protesting something, but they've got a platform to do it on. If a plumber that nobody knew said, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to word it, but
right.
Basically, they're well-known individuals. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are being paid a lot of money, but at the end of the day, they've got these names, and people are paying attention.
Right.
So, if I can do anything, not that I'm Steven Tyler or Robert Plant or mm-hmm. Paul McCartney or any of those guys, but I do have fans, and if I can make one person's life a little different, why wouldn't I do it? You know what I mean?
Well said, yeah, John. And I'm going to go, there's a reason why I asked about that, because I'll go a little bit further for a visit you guys made to Cuba. And I'll go into that a little bit later. But tell us how you came to join the band, because this is a newer incarnation of the Dead Daisies. How did you come to join the band?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they had a singer prior to me.
Right.
And I don't know what happened. Honestly, I wasn't there, so I can't really, and I don't feel comfortable speaking about what happened because I don't know.
Right.
But they were supposed to go to Cuba, and for some reason, John Stevens, who, by the way, asterisk, is an amazing singer. Mm-hmm. He couldn't go to Cuba, and I think he decided to step off the boat, and he wanted to do a solo record. So somehow my name was on the radar, and I don't know if I was the first person they looked at or if they called 50 other singers and I was the only one available.
Right.
But they basically called me and asked me if I wanted to go to Cuba. I did. Mm-hmm. I had an amazing time. The fans there were insane.
Right.
And then they asked me if I wanted to do a record. So that was my entrance into the Dead Daisies.
And so, with that, to that point, do you feel with the current incarnation of the band, you guys have more or less solidified the lineup moving forward?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you think you more or less have solidified the current incarnation of the Dead Daisies? This will be around for a while.
I would hope so. You know what? But honestly, I'm such a person that's like, live today. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't really, I don't worry about tomorrow. I don't worry about yesterday. Right now, the band we just released a new record. We just did an amazing tour of Europe and the UK, and we're getting ready to go to Japan and Europe again. And then we're coming back to America. And I just make the best of today.
Yeah.
I could choke on a crouton tomorrow. I don't know what the universe's plan is for me. So gotcha. I just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So now we can go and talk about the trip to Cuba you guys did. This was in February 2015, and in point of fact, that experience with the Dead Daisies playing Cuba, that actually inspired the next album at that time, which is called Revolucion. And just give us a little bit of what the experience is like. And I imagine it was one of the most satisfying points in your career.
You know what? Honestly, I went to Cuba, and I was very obviously from an American history point of view. Mm-hmm. It was amazing for me to go there and just see what their country was all about.
Right.
I had a great time. The fans were amazing. The food was amazing. I was surprised at how many fans were walking around with Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses. Like, they had all these shirts on. So they were aware of the rock world. But
right.
it was just unbelievable. I had such a great time. The music scene there is unbelievable. And then after that, they asked me if I wanted to do a record, and I looked at it, and it was, at the time it was, Richard Fortas, Dizzy Reed, Brian Tishy, Marco Mendoza, David Lowy. And I was looking at it, I go, man, on paper, this band is insane.
Right.
And then I heard some of their back songs, and I'm like, the back music is incredible. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I had my own solo band as well.
Right.
But, it was cool, man. And it's honestly, it's been chaotic. It's been, but very rewarding. And since then,
right.
We're seeing the audiences grow. The band is, kicking butt. It's been amazing. I feel very blessed.
So let me remind the viewers really quickly, John, if I may. I'm speaking with John Corabi, lead vocalist for a band called the Dead Daisies. So with that, a couple years later, now you move over from Motley Crue and you put together a band called Union with former Kiss guitarist Bruce Kulick. How did you meet Bruce? And I've got to say, just the consummate professional and just one of the coolest guys in rock and roll.
Bruce is a good dude.
Yeah.
I actually met Bruce, honestly, through Nikki. We had been to a couple barbecues and stuff at Nikki's house, and Bruce was there. And my wife had actually done his. My ex-wife was a hairdresser, and she used to do Bruce's hair, and she did some photo sessions with a guy named Niels Lozauer in LA. She had met Bruce, so we kind of knew each other. And then when Kiss decided to do the original lineup with the makeup, right, and Motley decided to bring Vince back, Nikki was the one that actually suggested Bruce and I getting together because we had a lot of the same influences. Right. So Bruce called me up. We got into the studio when we wrote one song, and we was like, well, that was, we were like, that was pretty cool. Let's do some more. So we wrote a few more songs, and we decided to put a band together. And so we just wrote the record with a gentleman named Kurt Cuomo. Yeah. And we recorded all the stuff at Kurt's house. And then we hired Brent Fitz and Jamie Hunting, and we went out, we did our first record. We released it on Mayhem and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean, at that point. Yeah. But we're still good friends. I talked to Brent and Bruce and Jamie quite a bit. We never really split up. We just kind of took a break. So I love those guys. Bruce is a great player, great guy. And now he's playing with Grand Funk Railroad. Correct. So, yep. Yeah. Yeah, I've been working for quite a while to get him on the station. Hopefully we will very soon. But just really the consummate professional. And in your opinion, do you think Bruce has gotten the recognition he deserves as a guitar player? No. I'll flat out say it. Same with Mick Mars. Right. I don't think Mick Mars has actually gotten the recognition he deserves. You can literally hum any of Mick Mars' solos, and it's pretty much the same with Bruce. Like, we had a side band as well called ESP with Eric Singer. Right. And we used to go out and do some of those Kiss songs that Bruce was involved in. And the fans will literally hum the guitar solos back to us while we're playing them. It's crazy. Right. So I think Bruce, and even I have a solo band as well, besides the Dead Daisies. And my bass player is, he said many times, I love the Scream, I love Motley, I love the Daisies, but the best thing you ever did was Union. Wow. He loves Bruce's playing. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to ask you about that. Like I said, when I talked to John Corabi, it would be
it's inevitable that I got to talk about his time with Bruce Kulick, because a lot of Kiss fans, I mean Kiss fans, he's a very underrated guitar player. And
He's
some would
insane.
some would argue he was the best musician in Kiss's history.
Well, you know what? It's funny. The thing that I love about Bruce is he can play anything. If
Right.
you want him to finger pick acoustic guitar, you want him to play. He's just a consummate guitar player.
Right.
He can play flamenco. He can play classical. He can play rock. All different elements of rock, country. And it's funny, like Bruce and I did a tribute record for Van Halen, and he did Hot for Teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and he nailed it. It was like all the guitar work. It was like note for note. I was blown away.
Right.
So, he's a great player.
Yeah. Good to hear. Like I said, I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about Bruce, and it's good to hear this little story on that. So to go back to the new record, what are some of your personal favorites on the record, and what do you think are going to come across live the best?
Well, you'll definitely you're definitely going to hear probably 6 or 7 songs from the new record. We did them in Europe and the UK. They went over great.
Yeah.
I would say probably my favorite song from the new record is I want to say Resurrected, only because of the lyrics.
Right.
You know, I kind of got written off when I did the Motley thing, when they brought Vince back.
Mm-hmm.
I think people kind of wrote me off, and Resurrected is just about like me, or even Dean Castronovo
Mm-hmm.
as well. Everything that he went through a couple of years ago, even he'll tell you that he wasn't sure if he would ever be in a band again.
Right.
And this is just our way of saying, you know what, we're here, we never went anywhere, and we're going to be here for a long time, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and Resurrect is the
So-
opening cut on the new record, and so you say a little autobiographical to a degree, huh?
A little bit, yeah.
One of the songs that I really enjoyed was Judgment Day. Kind of a nice little change in the record, like a little left turn for the musically, and very cool tune.
It's not, Judgment Day is just about, you know what, honestly, you know, people judge you for everything that you do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, there's a few songs like that on the record. There's You Can't Take It With You, What Goes Around Comes Around. You know, and honestly, it's just about living your life and enjoying your life and just being, you know what, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, like, whether you believe in karma, the universe, whatever you believe in, how you treat people is how you're going to be treated.
Right.
So that's basically all it's about.
So to go a little bit, tell us about I read recently that you guys are going to be releasing a new video. The first video, I believe it's for Dead and Gone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that comes out tomorrow. I don't know what today's date is.
Right.
I'm a touring musician that has no concept of time.
Right.
But I believe it comes out tomorrow at like 10 or 11 a.m.
Yeah. Any little stories
And
in the making of the video?
Actually, we did it in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a brain fart right now, but we did it in Germany, and we had a great time. It was awesome. It's a little bit old school. So I think people are going to enjoy it. It's got a good message. Again, it's about living your life, being responsible, but not letting anybody tell you how to live your life.
Right.
Just do your own thing. Have fun, but be responsible.
Very cool. Anything you want to add to your fans before we wrap this up, John? Anything you want to say to the fans here in Phoenix?
Thank you. I've been coming to, obviously I've been in the business now for 30 plus years, and Phoenix has always been a great supporter of mine, whether it was the Scream, Motley, Union. We've always had a great time there. So I want to thank everybody, and hopefully we can have another 30 years together.
All right, sounds good, John. Thank you for your time. And once we get the video for Dead and Gone, we'll be playing it to get the word out for the show.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right, take care.
See you.
Bye-bye.